It's time now for Countywide, a special presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. Join Paul David and Kyle Benedict as they talk with our community's leaders, newsmakers, and people in the know. You'll hear about the hot topics that affect all our lives in Yavapai County. And now here's today's Countywide.
Welcome to Countywide. I'm Kyle Benedict. Today we are sitting down with Friends of Verde River Greenway, and in studio today is Board of Directors President Chip Norton and Community Outreach Director Laura Jones. And we're going to be talking about the Verde River State of the Watershed Conference, the first year of this conference on May 10th and 11th. It's going to be a lot of, we got a press release the other day on it, and it's going to be a ton of fun, a lot of great information and events going on for this. But I want to thank you guys for coming in studio.
Thank you, Kyle.
So the Verde River, of course, is the topic of conversation. A lot going on at the Verde River, a lot of recreation opportunities, a lot of work being done with restoration and just making sure that with the increased activity on the river, we're doing it responsibly. So I guess first off, Chip, let's talk about Friends of Verde River Greenway and just kind of tell us about the organization.
Well, Friends of Verde River Greenway was established in 2007. It was actually an affiliate of the Arizona State Parks Foundation. And in 2009, we decided to expand our scope. In 2011, we incorporated it as a separate 501c3. And since then, I think it's sort of a supply and demand thing. There's been such a demand for what we do that our organization has grown quite a bit, and the partnerships that we're involved with have grown quite a bit. I think if you look at the areas that we work in, it's basically three areas. We work on sustaining flows in the Verde River and its tributaries. We work on restoring habitat, and we work on promoting community stewardship. And I think those are generally the three buckets, if you were to just put things in different slots, that we do. We've had consolidation with other river conservation groups in the last year. So again, we're taking on more. There's a demand for more, and frankly, there's just I think that the level of stewardship has grown quite a bit in the Verde Valley, and I think that's in response to the increased interest in the fact that we have a unique area that has one of the last flowing rivers in Arizona that's basically not impounded in this first 82 miles, and many streams that flow into the Verde River, and you don't find that anywhere else in Arizona.
Yeah, and before the show, we were talking about last summer, I, for the first time, kayaked down the Verde River, and I think once you experience that, you really understand what you're talking about here and what's so special about the Verde River. And so, for more information, you talked about a lot of the different things that you guys, the Friends of Verde River Greenway, does. Your website, verderivergreenway.org, ton of great information about the programs, the different programs that we're going to be talking about here today. But you mentioned, restoring the habitat, stewardship, community partnerships, and everything in terms of recreation as well. So, Laura, the inaugural State of the Watershed Conference, May 10th and 11th. What can people expect with that conference? And, as I mentioned, a lot of stuff going on there.
This conference came out of our work around restoring habitat. We have a collaboration called the Verde Watershed Restoration Coalition, and it's a public-private partnership that works to do habitat restoration along the Verde and its tributaries. We have over 200 private landowners that are part of that, and then all of the public land managers, so our national forest, our national parks, our state parks, our local municipalities are all part of that. And so in planning for kind of what we wanted to do around that work, one of the things we thought would be a great idea to bring together all of the people that are doing work. We work collaboratively with partners all across. So the idea came like, let's put together a conference. Let's have a day where people who don't get to see what we do on the ground or all the work that's being done on the ground to help preserve the river and the habitat can get out in the field and see what's going on. So they can go on a trip to the headwaters. They can go to visit one of our habitat restoration sites. They can go birding at Page Springs. They can go kayaking on the Verde. So there's lots of things that people can do on the 10th. And then the 11th, about 200 people are going to gather in Clarkdale to hear about these themes that we're talking about: restoring habitat, sustaining flows, and promoting community. And again, we're really excited because there's a real broad spectrum of people that are going to be presenting, from the folks at SRP who are going to talk about downstream use, to the mayor of Clarkdale that's going to talk about flows in that area, to our folks that are doing river recreation. So there's really a broad spectrum of information, and people will get to hear presentations. Our keynote speaker is Sarah Porter from the Kyle Center at ASU, who's going to talk about the price of uncertainty of water and how important the Verde is to the water economy of the state of Arizona. And then people will actually get to do some real smaller group work to actually get more in depth on topics. So we're trying to make it a really great interactive day, or 2 days, with people really getting an experience for those of us who do this work day to day. So we're really excited to see that people signing up who are just members of the community who are interested in the river, maybe who have boated once or twice, or their neighbor does something they think with the river, a friend is on a board. And so that's exciting to see those of us who are really committed to the work day to day, and then those in our community that just know that the river is important.
Yeah, I think it's really important to showcase, as you mentioned, all the work on the ground that's being done, and just to express what the overall goal is with the work that you're doing. Mm-hmm. It's more than just, people with a kayak getting on the river, or fishing from your kayak on the river. It's more than just that. Chip, real quick before we take our first break, kind of talk about the area of the Verde River. What area are we talking about here?
Well, we do restoration work on the entire Verde River and its tributaries, from the headwaters all the way down to the first impoundment at Horseshoe Lake. Mm-hmm. But I think that a lot of our programmatic work right now is focused in the Verde Valley. So a lot of the work that we're doing to promote community stewardship at this point in time, the Friends, that work is basically happening in the Verde Valley. And there's a lot going on here in terms of sustainable recreation and tourism, which we'll talk about later. Mm-hmm. The programs we're doing to sustain flows and the programs that we're participating in. I think more than anything that the Verde Watershed Restoration Coalition tends to be more watershed wide than the other two programs are right now, just because of the nature of it. When you're trying to remove invasive plants from along the Verde River, you want to, as much as you can, you want to start upstream and move downstream. But also you may jump around a little bit just based on when opportunity presents itself. You don't want to let that slip away. So I think the habitat work tends to spread out farther when you take the fingers of all the tributaries and follow them upstream. But I think the social component at this point in time is kind of Verde Valley centric.
Yeah, it seems like that's where, would you say, most of the use is, in the Verde Valley, in terms of the Verde River?
Well, I think recreational use, that's true. And I think also the work that's going on with farmers and business people to improve flows, the projects that are being done to improve summer flows in the Verde River is happening in the Verde Valley. And I think that when Laura talks about 200 plus landowners, not all, but most of those landowners are in the Verde Valley. I think there's a few
upstream in Oak
Perkinsville,
Perkinsville and in up Oak Creek as well.
200. That's a pretty astonishing number right there. We're going to take our first break. Again, for more information, verderivergreenway.org. Good phone number for more information as well, 928-451-6860 for more information on the programs we're going to be talking about here, and also the Watershed Conference, again, May 10th and 11th. This is Countywide. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
Ed Sheeran.
What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber.
You're listening to The Weeknd.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
This was me. And Mom and Dad. And my big brother Alex. And Jack. And this was the day that I learned that sandals get their name from sand. That jellyfish aren't made of jelly. That stars don't just come from the sky. That the ocean is bigger than all of us. This is the day we all got to forget that I was sick. And it changed everything. This was my wish.
I call you and say, I'm with the IRS. You owe back taxes, and if you don't pay today, you're going to jail. You can fix this by sending cash. Did you actually believe me? Too smart to fall for it? Well, last year, Americans paid $100 million to guys like me. 1 in 6 people were scammed. Can you believe it? Well, you shouldn't. I just made that up, too. You are a little gullible.
Welcome back to Countywide. We're sitting down with Friends of Verde River Greenway board president of the board of directors, Chip Norton, as well as community outreach director Laura Jones, talking about the State of the Watershed Conference, which is taking place May 10th and 11th, and talking about the Verde River, a lot of stuff that Friends of Verde River Greenway and the different programs, the work that is being done. We wanted to make sure we touched on sustaining flows. We mentioned it before the break here, but when we're talking about sustaining flows, what does that exactly mean, and what's some of the work that's being done? Chip.
Well, we're involved with 2 programs, and one addresses groundwater use, and the other addresses surface water use. And the first, the program that we're doing that addresses groundwater use is a voluntary program. It's called the Verde River Exchange, and it's a program where a business person or a community leader wants to offset their groundwater pumping use or some portion of it. So what they can do is come and purchase a credit from Friends of Verde River Greenway. On the other side of that equation, and we work closely with the Nature Conservancy on this, the Nature Conservancy is working with folks that would be interested in not using some of their surface water irrigation for, say, 1 month or whatever, and so they're paid, and this is a temporary agreement, so they may choose to fallow that field for 1 month. Which surprisingly supplies hundreds of thousands of gallons of water that is used, that is pumped for whatever use the business might be involved in. So then you have someone that's willing to provide, I'll call it wet water. They'll refrain from using that wet water, which means it stays in the stream or the river, and then the buyer purchases that credit. So you basically offset this this groundwater pumping use, and it's a voluntary program, and this started last year after a couple years of due diligence, and 2 of the leading vintners in the Verde Valley, Page Springs Cellars and Merkin Vineyards and Winery, participated in that program. And then those businesses, I think, get a lot of benefits in terms of their branding. And actually both of the folks that own these vineyards and wineries, they're doing it because they think it's the right thing to do. So that's one program, and that's continuing to grow and get a lot. It's National Geographic did a blog on it. Really? Cronkite News did a piece on it. Yeah, and again, if you can start by going to the Friends website, and that'll get you to the VerdeRiverExchange.org website to get more information. The other program that we're involved with is the Verde River Flow and Habitat Initiative, and that's being led by the Nature Conservancy, and the Friends is a partner in that program. And that's a case where the Nature Conservancy and Friends are working with farmers. And what farmers are doing is changing their agricultural practices where they're using less water and actually getting improved production by putting in higher tech systems, which again results in more water in the river or creek in the summer, depending on the location of the farmer. And at the same time, they're doing habitat restoration work on their riverfront property. So we're working together. So those are two of the flow restoration projects that we're involved with.
And for more information and just to contact you about maybe becoming a part of those programs, again, the website, people can go there for more information, VerdeRiverGreenway.org. Laura, another thing we want to talk about was sustainable recreation. I think we know recreation, but when you talk about sustainable recreation, what exactly do you mean there? Well,
part of our mission is to promote community stewardship. So when we talk about recreation and sustainable recreation, again, we work with a collaborative of public land managers, our local municipalities, our local businesses that are running trips and stuff from kayaking like you went on. And the idea is that we want people to use the river, but also appreciate the value of it and to make sure that it's not being overused and that it has the capacity to remain natural and not feel over commercialized, I think. And we really want people to have that experience to get off the river and go, wow, now I understand why this river is important. Or we want to hike it or fish it or do that and get the sense of the river, but also the surrounding areas too, because we also do a lot of work with trails, systems and things like that that are connected.
So when people are on the river, what are some things that they can be doing to make sure that they are taking part in this sustainable recreation?
One of the things that we there's been a lot of work being done with one of our collaborators, the Verde Front, and making sure that our river access points are open and accessible and easy to reach, and using those river access points as a way to get on the river and off the river is really one of the things that we really want people to do. There's a lot of private property, and we really want to respect those folks that live along the river. So we want to make sure that people are getting on at a river access point, getting off at a river access point, that they're taking any trash anything they bring with them that they take out with them. They see trash along the way, we ask people to grab stuff. So when they're out recreating, we want people to be respective of the lands that they're going through, whether they're public or private, and to really just be respectful of what they see when they get there. It can be really exciting. There's an amazing amount of wildlife. Beaver and birds and otters and things like that. We want people to experience them and in their natural environment. So
yeah, I mean, it's just being responsible. If everyone's responsible and does their part, hopefully that'll prevent some of the issues that you usually see with overuse. I mean, of course, we hear about it with Oak Creek and through the canyon with a lot of college students or just heavily populated areas, and some of the damage that does. Of course, Fossil Creek now has a reservation system, partially because of some of the damage with just the overcrowded, the crowds that go down there and just destroy the area. So,
I think one of the main focuses of the Verde Front, which actually involves all the elected officials in the Verde Valley, which is pretty remarkable that they've taken that on, is management. So that we're doing this in a sustainable way. And I just want to do a shout out to you know, the county supervisors and the mayors of the communities in the Verde Valley, because they're taking their time out to get together 4 times a year and meet just on this topic. So it's impressive.
Yeah, and this is all, you know, again, just kind of getting going here and establishing this good foundation just for future growth and recreation and sustainability. All that stuff is great to get that proper foundation. So we're going to take a second break again. VerdeRiverGreenway.org, 928-451-6860 for more information. Countywide, back in a couple minutes.
The Q102.9 plays all the hits.
Yo, what's going on? This is Drizzy Drake.
Ariana Grande.
Maroon 5.
This is Rihanna.
I'm Shawn Mendes.
Hey, it's Bruno Mars.
Ed Sheeran.
What's up, guys? It's Justin Bieber.
You're listening to The Weekend.
Start your day with Brian James in the morning. You'll get at least 10 songs in a row during your ride home with Julie Page.
Zach Sang Show.
Catch the Zach Sang Show weeknights 7 to midnight. And Kelly Fox weekends on your home for hit music. The Q102.9 and 104.9 in Prescott and Cottonwood.
I didn't know where my life was going. With Wounded Warrior Project's help, I was able to get my life back in order. I thank Wounded Warrior Project not only for helping me, but also helping veterans that I know that are dealing with the same struggles that I am. Wounded Warrior Project understood what I was going through. I'm grateful that Wounded Warrior Project helped me reestablish my life. I am living proof.
Hello, I'm Jen Cohen, host of Verde Valley TV's hit TV show, The Verde Valley Experience. On each episode, we feature local organizations, nonprofits, persons of interest, events, activities, and great local musicians. It's informative, it's entertaining, it's fun. It's the Verde Valley Experience.
We meet online, and I tell you, I'm falling in love. I have to see you in person, but I need a loan for the ticket. I really think you're the one. And I really think you're desperate. Sure enough, you send cash and never see me again. Too smart to fall for this? Last year alone, 12 million Americans lost money this way. Can you believe it? You shouldn't. I made that up, too. Might not be as smart as you thought you were.
Welcome back to Countywide. A few minutes left in the program. We're sitting down with friends at Verde River Greenway talking about the Verde River State of the Watershed Conference on May 10th and 11th. Do people have to purchase tickets for this, Laura?
Yes, it's at our website, VerdeRiverGreenway.org. You can find the State of the Watershed tab, and there you can register for the conference. It's $35, and that gets you a field trip on May 10th and the conference on May 11th, which includes lunch. But we're really excited. We already have over 100 people registered, and we really hope to see many more from the community out there on the field trips, because I think some of them are really exciting, and as you said earlier, some are filling up. And we really hope to see a good crowd in Clarkdale on the 11th. It's going to be exciting.
It seems like it's going to be a great time with so much going on, and really it seems like, just reading through some of the things that'll be covered, they'll expand on a lot of things we talked about here today.
Yes.
Real quick, we have just a minute or two left, but can you talk about volunteer opportunities for just members of the community who would like to get involved?
Sure. Friends does volunteering, and we work with a group, the Verde Valley Outdoor Volunteer Network. And so it's not only Friends, but Oak Creek Watershed Council, the Verde NRC Ed Center, and so different folks around the valley that are putting on volunteer events. And so, for example, there's one coming up on May 6th in Oak Creek. And so we have volunteers who come out and help us with invasive plant removal, that help us with long-term monitoring, that help with trash pickups. Some of us go down and float the Verde and volunteer and pick up trash on certain stretches. So there's always something for folks to do. We like to do boots on the ground work, so we'd love for people who are happy to come out and dig and get a little dirty. That's how I started as a volunteer.
It makes it fun, right?
Yeah, and it makes it fun. So,
awesome.
So there is a lot of volunteer opportunities around.
Great. Again, for more information, VerdeRiverGreenway.org, 451-6860. The Watershed Conference, May 10th and 11th. Thank you guys for coming in today.
Thank you
for
Kyle.
having us.
That's going to do it for today's Countywide. We'll talk and see you next time.